46 days to the December polls. This is the election brief here at your election headquarters. I'm Marva Kumsin, and coming up, can the daughter of Ghana's first president, Kwame Nkrumah, Samia Nkrumah, recapture the seat after ditching the CPP, or the MPP's coalition will be retained?
I have not abandoned our father's vision. I'm an Nkrumahist by birth, by blood, and by conviction.
There is no problem in Jomono that I do not know.
The things that I've done with my own money clearly shows that when that mandate is given me, a lot will be done for them.
The race for the Jomoro seat is in focus on one of our flagship election programs today, The Battleground. We'll bring you excerpts. Also, CDD's assessment of MPP and NDC's manifestos identifies huge gaps between the actual needs of the electorate and the policies outlined in the two manifestos.
Is the feasibility, and can it really damage? Because you go and promise something and you can't deliver it.
Painless manifestos. Completely painless.
Also in this edition, we'll hear from electorates in the Upper East region ahead of the Joy Ballot Box program tomorrow. What will influence their vote?
We in Boku here, we don't have any place that we can meet. We have to meet under trees near the social welfare grounds.
So one the MP who can promise and buy the cross hands and the motorbike for them.
And later, presidential aspirants who have been disqualified by the Electoral Commission can face a jail term of 10 years if found guilty of forgery. We'll have one of the disqualified aspirants, Kwesi Busumbru, in the studio for a discussion. We are live on your DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 144, on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. Follow JoyNews on TV. We stream on myjoyonline.com as well. And on YouTube, we are JoyNews TV. Stay tuned in. Thanks again for your time. Now, the National Commission on Small Arms and Light Weapons is calling for increased security alertness ahead of the 2020 polls. This follows a statement by the police service which identifies some 4,098 areas across the country as hotspots prone to violence in the 2020 polls. Speaking in Accra at the launch of an anti-electoral violence campaign dubbed Ballots Without Bullets, the Executive Secretary of the Commission, Jones Aple, stressed that the proliferation of arms in the country calls for urgent action, especially in the Ashanti region, which tops the list with 635 flashpoints.
The police letter that we received in our office, they have declared about 4,098 areas as hotspots in these 2020 elections. What it means is that, not that because at the place is determined at the hotspot, something will flare up. But what it means is that look at that place more carefully. And so if nothing is done, then something will happen. So the essence of this campaign that we are doing is that Ghanaians shouldn't keep quiet. Napoleon Bonaparte says that communities are worse off not because of the activities of bad people, but because good people keep quiet. So Ghanaians should not keep quiet. We should talk. And irrespective of where you stand. As I say, we are Ghanaians first before our political persuasions come in. But that should not divide us. Elections, they are just means to select leaders.
Well, I'm sure you are well briefed on the sort of interventions that the various security agencies are putting in place. From where you sit, in terms of confiscating these small arms, over 1 million that are in circulation without, certification and all that, do you think that we're doing enough?
Without sounding alarmist, I think we have to do more. That's the reason why you find Media Commission doing something, Small Arms Commission doing an activity, Peace Council is doing so, the police itself, election security activated. It is in response to things like so. As for the weapons, whether we like it or not, from what we monitor in the media space, clearly should give us an indication that people have weapons in Ghana. Right?
Forgive me if I sound persistent. I want you to speak categorically to the issue of politicians and others wielding, small arms, whether registered or not registered. Brandishing them gives a certain, idea of endorsement and so on that people sort of use. What would you say about that?
No, so just to say, normally when you speak on some of these things, it raises the issue as if you want to castigate any political group. The politicians I believe, should take themselves out of this. What we all want is a secured Ghana. We want security for our people. After all, the politicians now, tomorrow, they will not be there. The next generation will come. So we want a secured Ghana. We have a law, Arms and Ammunition Act, which clearly stipulates that you can't discharge or display your firearms in public. So you can't go. So as a public servant, as a professional, I'll say what the law says.
Meanwhile, the Electoral Commission is assuring of its commitment to delivering a peaceful election. It says it's collaborating with the security agencies to avoid tensions on election day. Dr. Bosman Asare is Deputy Chairperson of the Commission.
Well, the EC is basically working with the Ghana Police Service, who primarily they are in charge of the Election Security Task Force to ensure all polling stations are secured. And beyond that, the EC is also assuring the general public that anyone who registered, the person's name is in the register, so the person should be rest assured that he or she is voting come December 7th. And again, all the measures that must be put in place for us to have a very credible, peaceful, transparent electoral process on December 7th, all the measures are in place. So the EC is fully ready. We know we've just completed with our nominations, the balloting for the political parties in terms of positions where there will be everything has been done. So the EC is fully ready. All our regional authorities are fully in control of the activities of the region. The same applies to the district. So as a commission, we are fully ready, and we know we have about 40 to 46 days or so for the exercise, and everything is on set.
Doctor, talk to me about, in fact, we have precedent in the registration exercise. We lost a few lives, quite unfortunately, and there were pockets of violence here and there. Talk to me about the reality of that, incident possibly happening.
Oh no, in terms of all the incidents you were referring, none of them happened because of our registration. And I remember, I don't know if you were talking about in Crown Quanta, one of the Doma, it happened outside our registration perimeter, so they had nothing to do with the Electoral Commission.
Let's talk about registration parameter. We had the Ewutu Senya East constituency, the Honorable Mavis Hawakumsing incident. That was at a registration center. But
that one didn't lead to the life, somebody losing his or her life, because initially we were making the point that some deaths, etc. There was nothing like that. As for those ones, having an activity on a large scale, registering about 17 million people on that large scale, obviously we are going to have some skirmishes. But as you rightly pointed out, you alluded to a particular polling station in Awutu Senya. So nationwide, over 33,000 polling centers, and if we had about 1 or 2, etc., we think that as a country, as a commission, we are making some significant strides. And
Let's head to the campaign trail now, and we begin from Ketekrachi in the Oti region, where President Akufo-Addo is continuing his campaign, and today he's been inspecting the construction of Krachi town roads. A while ago, he addressed a deb of chiefs and people there.
Na o kasa no so le nsam bi tumanim ba ko mienu bi wo ha asrafo ho anaka ho asem de aka no abaka bridge no there right now ayekan design no e koso aye ba behwe baby a e di ba besi they try to allocate the construction correctly. The kwan bi aso no bridge no there ebeba so. Regional House of Chiefs and Anaka Wasam no. Ira Dambotre, only chieftaincy minister and the chief of staff. After one is if they say to Sani Menira, they are working Martino Pa, Martino Supem, Potable water plant. Ewo Ketekrachi. Yeah, project be a several areas of Ghana. Yeah, Kreno Aqua Africa project. I did water plants. ACCC. Ketekrachi Kasara Aqua project.
So you had the President Akufo-Addo in Ketekrachi addressing chiefs and people there a while ago, and essentially what he's saying is assuring the people that his government will build a bridge and also construct a water plant in the area going forward. Peter Seno is on this trip. He joins us with updates. Peter, where is the president moving to now?
Well, as we speak, the president is addressing chiefs and people at Borai, a suburb of the Ketekrachi district. And so he is there addressing the chiefs and people in there. From there, he's expected to address the chiefs and people at a regional rally in the Dambaye town proper, the regional capital. And so the grounds are being prepared to receive the president in less than an hour's time. And so right now we are on our way heading towards Dambaye to exactly hear the president what he has to tell the region finally before he leaves for Accra.
Peter, you know the area and the region very well. You said the president is heading to Dambaye. What are the needs of the people in Dambaye?
But one of the needs here is the bridge the president mentioned, as equal as the Ketekrachi people needed the bridge to cross to the other side. In fact, when you reach here and you miss the boat at either sides of the lake side, it means that you can't continue or proceed to wherever you are going. And so the bridge to cross the Oti River is very important for the people to, in fact, enhance or boost economic activities in the area. One other thing here is potable drinking water. Although the residents here are living very close by the Volta or the Oti River, in fact, access to potable water is a major challenge. And so these are the things residents are calling for, that when they get these things, in fact, that is what they need to survive as people of the area. And so these are the very things that people are calling for.
Peter Seno is our OT regional correspondent on that beat with the president who's touring the OT region. He started yesterday and is continuing today. Now, the chief of Wangaras and vice chairman of the National Council of Zongo Chiefs, Nana Faniyama II, has lauded the government's effort in implementing policies that have helped to bring development to Kintampo municipality. Assuring the vice president of the people's support, Nana Faniyama appealed for the construction of roads in that area, especially to the rural communities. Vice President Dr. Bawumia attributed the slow pace of development of the area to the NDC government, which has been winning the Kintampo North parliamentary elections for the past 28 years. He promised the MPP, if elected, will implement policies that would bring relief to the people of Kintampo Zongo.
If you didn't Yavotia ma NDC Kintampo North say maybe Sremo say yes but moi ankasa ka kire me say me mame akoma enda enyesa na this year the move system na mo afoti na mo ama Michael Sakodie bafu na wa ba parliament sa die medamo ase minim se mobedi sa poshe no di mobe mana abaso eti me so mati request amoye fe ro mo kwan Kintampo North say mo MP 24 years one side 28 years since 92 28 years yeah MPC
You're watching the election brief here on Joy 19 on your Joy News channel, and we're taking a break. Still to come, the CDD's assessment of the MPP and the NDC manifestos identifies huge gaps between the actual needs of the electorate and the policies outlined in the two manifestos. We bring you details after this break.
What is the feasibility and can it really damage? Because you go and promise something and you can't deliver it.
Painless manifestos. Completely painless.
You're welcome back to Election Brief. I'm Marba Kumsin, and now the flag bearer of the People's Action Party, Kwesi Busumbru, is one of the 5 presidential hopefuls kicked out of this year's presidential race for breaching aspects of the Electoral Commission's regulation. The issue, according to chairperson of the commission, Jean Mensah, has been referred to the Criminal Investigative Department of the Ghana Police Service for investigation and prosecution. The disqualified aspirants could face a possible jail term of 10 years if found guilty. Now, flag bearer of the People's Action Party, Kwesi Busumbru, joins us in studio for a conversation. But first, let's look at the specific allegations which led to his disqualification. Watch.
Mr. Kwesi Busumbru of the PAP was the 14th person to file his nomination forms with the commission. There were no IT issues. However, the candidate failed to provide supporters for some districts in the Greater Accra region and had incomplete data for a number of his supporters. Indeed, some of the supporters were not registered voters in the area of authority of the district assembly to which they endorsed his candidature, and there are a good number of them. The technical team also noted that the same persons, although they had endorsed for him on the 4 separate forms, had different signatures. And what this means is that if you look at the forms, there were 4 forms, and so if you have a person called Amasewa, her signature appeared on the 4 forms, his signatures appearing on the 4 forms were different. And this was in the case of Ashanti and Northeast regions. This was referred to the CID division of the Ghana Police Service, and they noted that the signatures were fake. And he has been disqualified from participating and contesting in the 2020 presidential election.
So, Mr. Busumbru joins us in the studio for some reactions to that and many more. Welcome to Election Brief.
Thank you.
Now, so you heard...
It's Araba Kumsin, right?
It's Araba Kumsin.
Right.
Yes, yes. So you heard the Electoral Commission boss. She says that you were disqualified simply because of fraud or forgery, because the same persons who endorsed your forms had different signatures. So how do you respond to this? Because this matter has been referred to the CID. Okay.
Anyway, but thanks for giving the opportunity to be in your studio, to clarify things. Yes, well, looking at the findings that I have, it stipulates that some of the people, especially Tamale North and Ashanti region, the 4 separate papers had different signatures. As a matter of fact, I sent my executives out to go and do all these endorsements. And I personally went to Brunhafo and Central Region. I had no issues with that. So what we realized was when they came in, I did a check on every single region except Greater Accra, because Greater Accra was being done by the General Secretary. So I had so much belief in him that he would do his due diligence and make sure things are done right. So it was until Monday that my friend from the United States called me and said, hey, they disqualify you. I didn't even know. Meanwhile,
you didn't know you had been disqualified?
No.
You were not aware that, the EC was going to announce?
I was checking my Joe Online, Ghana Web, to see if they have the list of those that have been qualified or cleared to go to the next stage. Right. So, to my amazement, when my friend called, within the split second, I had calls all over, coming from all over the world and all over Ghana. I mean, during our dialogue with EC since 2017, most of the time they will write to us about their plans for the month or for 2-3 months, for 6 months. But for some reason, they didn't engage us to even write to us to tell us that we've been disqualified until I heard my friend telling me you've been disqualified. You know, I mean, looking at her first statement, he said, I did not get enough people to endorse me in Greater Accra. And there were other regions that she stated that I had 4 different signatures. Right.
Yeah, respond to that specific allegation, because this is a serious issue, because it's been forwarded to the police CID.
Right.
She's saying that the same persons who endorsed your forms had different signatures. So you have the same names but different signatures. That's clear forgery.
That is not forgery in the sense that during the voters registration program, everybody that went to the registration centers, it was somebody that was writing their names for them. It wasn't the person writing their names. It was an EC person that was writing the names of the citizenry. And most of the time, you know, that's exactly what we did on the road. We have 4 copies. We take the first sheet, we write it, and the person will sign. And the moment he signs or she signs, then we'll give her the other 4, the other 3 to sign. You know, there's nowhere in the world that you can sign 1 signature or 3 signatures and they will all be the same. Trust me, I can sign my signature 5 times and you will see that 1 will be different. So what the experts are saying that, oh, I would say the so-called experts are saying that it was forgery. Yeah, they have to prove it, that it was forgery. Because this is the EC saying my executives forged.
So you're saying the onus is on the EC to prove the claim they're making against you. They had a technical team set up to look into these things.
Are they experts? To me, are they experts? My question is, are they experts in looking at these things? Recently, there were issues about forgery. And they sent it to Israel only last week. The government sent it to Israel for proper forensic to be done. So this shows...
And what was the outcome?
No, they're still working on it.
Okay.
They're still working on it. So my take on this is I'm so disappointed with EC, the way they went about everything. Me personally, I've always respected authority, and I respect their decision, and I'm so thankful to them for giving me the opportunity to form my own political party and getting the chance to go around the whole Ghana and interact with people.
Let me correct an impression made. Right. You mentioned the fact that, you know, something was sent to Israel for forensic tests.
Yeah, but it has nothing to do with it. That was not text.
That was not text. I'm being told that it was audio.
Yes.
It was audio, not text.
Okay, audio, fine. Okay. But what I'm saying is, this tells you that we don't have the expertise to do all these forensic analysis in Ghana.
So you doubt the EC's technical team?
Definitely. And another thing that the EC did, that to me, it was so disappointing. Most of the parties that got cleared into the next stage were called back to correct the anomalies. And if you remember 2016, we had an issue with the same people, endorsing 2 or 3 parties. It went to the Supreme Court, it went to the Appeals Court, and the Appeals Court ruled in favor of the parties. But EC they were not satisfied, so they took the case to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court ruled that they should give the parties the chance to go and correct their mistakes.
Right.
So this is the Supreme Court. The moment the Supreme Court rules on anything, any case, right, it becomes precedent. And if the case arises again, they have to follow the same process.
So essentially you're saying you were not given an opportunity to correct
I wasn't given any opportunity. But meanwhile, Yariga was given opportunity to even return some of his form on Saturday, after the deadline. After the deadline.
I've heard experts say that in your case, it was a clear case of forgery and fraud, and there was no need to call you back to sort of, correct. What will you be correcting? The fraud which you've committed?
If you look at what the EC said, he said, I didn't have enough people to endorse me in Accra, Greater Accra. And those 4 names and signatures that they're talking about, if we were to get the experts, let's say FBI or CIA, to come down to Ghana and even look at MPP and NDC documents, they will see that they did the same thing.
Let's come back to a claim you just made. You said that Mr. Ayariga of APC was given the opportunity to even submit his forms on Saturday.
Yes.
Do you have any proof of that?
No, we were told. I went to EC yesterday and I was told that they...
You were told by who?
By Dr. Sibo Kweku. Okay. You know, that...
We cannot independently verify this, but we will be checking.
They asked most of these people to come back and correct their mistakes. I filed on Friday around 2 o'clock, right? And that's the part that I blame myself. I wish I did file on Monday because I would have had a chance to go back and correct the anomalies. But because I filed around 2, and by the time they went through the independent verification, there are 4 panels that would do the independent verification. They went through and told me, oh, you are missing Central Region. You need 2 voters ID card and signatures, which I called the founding father in Central Region, and he was able to provide me with those details. And it was done on that Friday.
Right.
Right. And even though they pointed a few uncompleted slots in the on the form on Greater Accra, I said to them, well, it's so many that I won't be able to correct them now because the deadline is 5 p.m.
Right.
So Sibo Kweku said, we'll look at it, send it to the IT department, and we will call you if there's any anomalies to come and correct them. And I didn't have the chance or even the opportunity to go out there and correct those mistakes.
But the point I'm making now is that they are insisting that it was fraud that you committed, which is why they have, transferred the matter to the police CID. Wow. So the question, the insistence by some experts is that there's no need to call back candidates or aspirants who have engaged or found to have been engaged in some sort of fraud in this process, which is why you have not been called back. That is the view of some experts on this particular matter. Right. But let's come to what you are going to do. Be it as it may, the EC has, referred the matter to the police CID. What are you going to, what's your next line of action? Because clearly, I mean, if you're found guilty, you could face up to 10 years in jail.
I totally agree with you, but my point that I want to make right now is, since I was disqualified, I've never had any interaction with the CID. I've never been invited to come to the police headquarters. They've never served me any notice as to what charges or as to pertaining to the fraud that they have said that has occurred within my party. So as far as I'm concerned, looking at even the findings, it said you may be reported. It does not say you will be reported. It said, looking at the findings, I have it right here, to the police for further action. Other parties though, other parties like Kofi Kurantin and there's another guy, apparently the police or the CID called them. They called on them to explain to them why they have these anomalies on their forms. I have never been called. They've never served me any notice. So as far as I'm concerned, like I said earlier on, whatever decision that EC they've made, there's no point going to the appeals court.
Okay, so you are, as it is, you're waiting for the police to call on you now?
Yes.
All right, okay, fine. Something has come to my attention. You mentioned that, even on some of your forms, some of them were incomplete.
Yes.
So even if the case of fraud or forgery had not come up, you still would have been disqualified because you were unable to complete, filling your forms.
Right. That's totally true. But my point is, EC should have given me the opportunity to correct those anomalies, which they did not. EC as an organization, right, is run under the rules of Ghana. And they cannot just come and say, oh, you are disqualified because of XYZ. And if you want redress, go to the courts. Like I said, look, I've accepted their decision and I respect that institution. And I wish nothing but good luck to the 12 that were cleared for the December 7 election.
Okay.
And I also wish, I pray that there will be, everything will go on smoothly during the December 7 election.
Okay, all right. So, I mean, you don't have a chance to, you know, contest with the other 12, but you did put out your manifesto even before you filed your nomination. And I have a copy of it here with me. There's one particular issue that's of interest to me. You talk about 1,000 cedis rebate for all Ghanaians. And I'll just read verbatim. It says, it's just wrong that while millions of Ghanaian families are finding it difficult to pay their utility bills, fill up their cars with petrol, and also cover escalating day-to-day costs, big companies like the telcos, Zoomlion and Nestle are posting record profits. Under the Busumburu administration, a portion of big companies' windfall profits will be used to fund direct relief, worth 500 cedis for individuals and 1,000 cedis for married couples. This will be paid with fully paid with 5 years of aid for profits tax on big companies. This is quite interesting.
Right.
500 Ghana cedis for single people, and then 1,000 cedis for married couple. What's the rationale of this rebate?
Looking at our system here, I believe in I just don't like the fact that all these big companies that I've mentioned in my manifesto, they are the ones that are dictating the way our country is run.
So if I understand you well, what you're going to do is levy these big companies.
Yes.
And the levies will be used
win
to pay
for profit. And that money will be given to the working class families. Because if I take this money from them, then they will not have the chance to lobby by giving these two big parties the money to manipulate the whole system that we have in Ghana as a democracy. Because the more money these telcos or Zoomlion makes, then the harder it is for most Ghanaians to climb up the ladder. So by taking this tax windfall and giving it to the people, that is the way to go. And that will stop these big companies by buying their way into government and doing as they please.
But how do you respond to those who may argue that isn't it better to focus on ensuring that the economy is robust rather than levying big companies to pay these rebates to married people and single people?
For every system to work in a democracy, the more you allow big companies by giving money or lobbying and getting their way with the government, we are doomed to fail. And it's exactly what is happening. What business has Zoomlion have by buying pickup trucks, other stuff, and giving it to the MPP government? What business do they have?
What evidence do you have to that?
Just Google it. That recently, how many trucks, how many pickup did Zoomlion gave to the MPP government?
How many? Do you have any evidence to prove that Zoomlion
it's all here. It's all here.
So how many?
I can Google and show you to you right now.
But you don't know. You don't have it at the tips of your fingers.
No, I know it's there. Just if you can even ask your team to Google it, and they will tell you. They will tell you.
Well, viewers, we will be verifying that claim very, very soon. Okay, so what happens now? I mean, let's wrap up the conversation. Clearly, you're not in the race, but you have no hopes of, you know, not contesting again. I understand that you still have intentions of contesting next time around, 4 years from now.
2024, yes.
2024. You're not perturbed.
I never quit.
You never quit. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. That's Kwesi Busumburu. He is a independent presidential candidate, and his party is the People's Action Party. As you know, he did not qualify to contest in the presidential election. You're still here on
political party, not independent.
Political party. Yes. Thank you very much. You're still here on Election Brief with me, Araba Kumsi. We're taking a break. Still to come, we'll hear from electorates in the Upper East region ahead of the Joy Ballot Box program tomorrow. What will influence their vote? You're welcome. Welcome back to Election Brief. Now, the National Democratic Congress is confident of causing a major upset in the Ashanti region in the upcoming general elections. The governing New Patriotic Party has set a target to win all 47 seats in the region, considered the party's stronghold. Now, NDC Chairman Samuel Ofusampofo, however, believes the long neglect of some projects initiated by the previous John Mahama administration in the region has caused disaffection for the MPP. He spoke to the media after presidential running mate Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman's campaign tour of the Ashanti region.
For the coming elections, we are leaving no stone unturned as far as the Ashanti region is concerned. It has also brought into it week the fact that the MPP, having enjoyed massive support from the Ashanti region, have virtually nothing to show to the good people of this region. Also have revealed that a number of projects that were embarked upon by President Mahama administration have been abandoned by the Nkrumah. And it's very intriguing to understand what is happening, because after all, in your stronghold, the best you can do is to continue projects that were started by your predecessor government. I'm talking about the various hospitals, district hospitals in Fomena, Kumawu, and then the Kwai, and then you come to the military hospital and the regional hospital, and all the health infrastructure has been abandoned. Very little is being done about it.
Now, in 2016, the NDC failed to meet its target of 1 million votes in the Ashanti region, despite a massive campaign. Well, the party says its own research in the region has shown it is attracting more voters who have long been loyal to the NPP. Samuel Ofusampofo will, however, not let out the strategies and targets to win more votes in the region.
Clearly, there is no way that we are going to lose Ashanti constituency. But for tactical reasons, I've decided not to be talking about our strategy and our targets. We believe that we will win some extra constituency in addition to the one we have. But I'll keep that one. It is the end that justifies the means. By the end of the 2020 elections, there's going to be an upset in the Ashanti region. I'll keep our targets and our strategies very close to my chest for obvious reasons. But let me say that Professor Nana Opoku-Agyeman is excited that she has received such a tumultuous reception from Ashanti region, and they have assured her that they will support her. They wish to see the first female vice president of the Republic of Ghana, and they wish to give her all the support, the blessings, and what it takes to be there. She has also demonstrated that she has the capacity, she has the strength, she has the tenacity, and she has the stamina. Where men are even tired, she kept on going. And so we are happy and we are thankful to Ashanti. As we move to other regions, we believe that the memories of what we have seen and assurances will keep on urging us on and giving us the strength to do the extra mile to ensure that victory becomes ours.
Let's turn our attention on NDC flag bearer John Dramani Mahama, who is promising to retrieve locked up investments of customers of Men's Gold if he wins the December polls. Speaking to residents of Takwa and Swayam, Mr. Mahama promised to use every legitimate means to retrieve the monies owed customers.
What you mean say, buying Men's Gold asem and your movie asem. If you say, who would your movie ever home? And Nipana, a G Nipasicano. On the number, Men's Gold for some demonstration. Now, the police are called Bromo. And then I want person who is now Nipanaso, now Jessica May. Make I am maybe my uncle for Men's Gold for almost some demonstration. Omo police go almost so pro mo here and the teacher be ekotumu ezu nyame adom NDC aban baba NDC aban ba Men's Gold aseme ye be hwehwemu ye be hwem na omo maji musika no ye be bi omochi na ya je sikano na ya chama.
Now, civil society organization Center for Democratic Development has established that the manifestos of the two leading parties has failed to tackle the actual needs of the electorates. That's not all. They also indicate in the assessment that the NDC and the MPP compiled a document failing to appreciate the new reality COVID has imposed on the economy and thus making a lot of promises. Executive Director of CDD, Professor H. Kwesi Prempeh, spoke on last night's manifesto tracker on PM Express, which focused on the reality check of these manifestos.
When you look in the manifestos, it's very clear that nobody wants you to ask them about cost.
Nobody.
Nobody is even factoring in the fact that this is a post-COVID, these are post-COVID manifestos.
True.
Or maybe not just post-COVID, these are COVID-informed manifestos. Right? But except for mentioning COVID, the manifestos do not seem to engage the new reality that COVID has imposed on us.
True.
In fact, we are going into the election with even our sovereign rating having been downgraded. Right? That means that if we were even expecting to go and borrow to make up the difference, which has become our norm, the cost of borrowing is going to go up because we've been downgraded. Right? Our rating is worse than it was before. So, but you read the manifestos and people are still promising reductions in taxes.
Yeah.
Right? They are promising tax cuts.
They're promising to spend, I mean, historically, amounts that are mind-boggling. MPP said they'll spend 100 billion in the next 3 years to get NDC's big push, $10 billion.
Over 4 years or over 5 years, right? And yet, at the same time, when you look at the revenue side of the equation, they tell us, oh, so there's this new kind of neoliberal answer they give. Oh, once we grow the economy, we will get more.
The money will come.
Of course not. I mean, we've been growing the economy. It hasn't necessarily reduced, it hasn't necessarily improved our revenue to GDP ratio in the region. It's one of the worst, right? So GDP itself doesn't translate into taxes. If you don't have an efficient, effective system to actually tax your citizens, citizens can become rich, get rich and richer, and the state can get poorer and poorer and poorer. So when you look in the manifestos, they are oblivious to issues of cost. They are not engaging the cost. They think that citizens are only looking for what they can get and not what the pain they will. So it's almost like only the gain they can give you. There is no pain here. Painless manifestos. Completely painless. There's nothing in here that is squeezing you.
On his part, Director of Advocacy and Policy Engagement, Dr. Kojo Asante, said it's impossible for the two parties to achieve the promises in their manifestos within 4 years.
Even before the manifestos were launched, they were already making promises.
True.
You know, the 88 district hospitals, I think President Mahama also had already started promising certain things.
Yes.
I think it was abolishing the licensure exams and other things and so on. So there's a political process going on, and then the parties, particularly on the Okada matter, basically seeing, you know, how the competitor reacts, and then they add or adjust to their proposals that they have put. And even sometimes they go to an area and then the chief says, so, okay, well, this is what we are requesting. And then they make the promise there and add it to, you know, whatever. So, but it comes to the same basic point that, yes, you know, as I said, it's a political process. You're trying to mobilize people's support and so on. And at that point, when you don't say something, you know, your political, your campaign people will tell you that you can't leave without promising, you know, that yes, when you come, you create a new region or create a new district or whatever it is that you are promising. So there are those layers of promises that will be added by the time we finish. The key point again for me is just that, you know, what is the feasibility and can it really damage? Because you go and promise something and you can't deliver it. The people are expectant. By the time you come, they say, you know, all these things that you promised you couldn't do. And the more we pile up, because we are piling up the promises, we begin to start taking the promises from, probably you have to go back to 2012. A lot of them still have not been done, and there are new ones that have been added. Some are maintaining theirs and then adding, different ones. The people eventually at some point become frustrated and they think that this is really just a game.
Now, former CPP MP Samia Nkrumah says she has not abandoned the ideals of her father, Kwame Nkrumah, despite ditching his party. She's contesting the Jomoro seat again, which she won on the ticket of the party in 2008 but lost in 2012 as an independent candidate. Kwame Nkrumah, Ghana's first president, led the country with the CPP as his party, but has since struggled to win power. Ms. Nkrumah says she remains committed to the ideals of Kwame Nkrumah. She and two other candidates, the MPP's MP, Paul Essien, and the NDC candidate, Dorcas Afo-Toffee, have been speaking on Joy FM show The Battleground, which airs later today.
I have not abandoned our father's vision. I'm an Nkrumahist by birth, by blood, and by conviction. In fact, the reason I'm still doing this politics is to honor our father's great legacy by making a contribution in practice, in demonstration, so that people, especially young people, will understand what this legacy was all about. And it was about serving the people, using whatever you have, whatever assets, powers you have, to improve the lives of our people.
Samia in 2008 came at a point where everybody had the thought of the father in mind. So she got the glory and she got the applause from the people. In her second term, we realized that she was somebody who could not go directly to the people. She always have to send people to go there, go and do this. But if you really want to talk about Jomoro, you must understand what Jomoro stands for, and you must know what they do. If you talk about me, for instance, I was born and bred here. I have schooled here and worked here. I've worked at the GHS for good 7 years. Worked at the secondary school as a teacher. Worked at the secondary school for good 8 years also as a teacher.
And that program airs later on Joy 99.7 FM at 8 p.m. Make a date. Now, accessibility to public facilities, construction of resource center and jobs are key issues that will determine who wins election 2020 in the Boku constituency. That's according to the community of persons living with disabilities in the constituency as they gear up for the Joy ballot box tomorrow. President of the PWDs in Boku, Dr. David Azare, wants the Disability Common Fund increased to assist individuals with special needs. He also wants his members to be provided with credit facilities with a low interest rate. Winston Amwa has been engaging Dr. Azare and a member of the PWDs, Hawa Issa.
I want to see how much the MPs especially will come to our aid in terms of getting us a resource center. We in Boku here, we don't have any place that we can meet. We have to meet under trees near the social welfare grounds. And anytime it's raining, we have to run for dear life. So this is one of the things that any MP that will promise us a place of meeting, a resource center, we would easily vouch for that MP.
And the Joy ballot board comes off tomorrow. It will be live on the Joy News channel. Do make a day. But that's how we wrap up today's program. I'm Barbara Kumson. Thank you for watching.